The fight of the century, Conor McGregor vs. Floyd Mayweather Jr. The stage is set. On August 26, 2017, an event took place that the world had been anticipating for months, an event that transcended the realms of combat sports and captivated the entire globe. It was a spectacle, a clash of titans from two distinct worlds, one from the world of mixed martial arts and the other from boxing. It was Conor McGregor, the brash, confident, and supremely talented UFC star, taking on the undisputed king of boxing, Floyd Mayweather Jr., in a fight that many thought would never happen. The build-up to this fight was like nothing we had ever seen before. McGregor, known for his larger-than-life persona, had trash-talked his way into the hearts and minds of millions. He was already a champion in his own sport, holding UFC titles in two weight divisions simultaneously. But this fight was different. He was crossing over to the boxing ring, challenging one of the greatest fighters of all time, a man who had never lost a professional boxing match. Floyd Mayweather, at 49-0, had amassed a fortune and a legendary status in the sport, but many felt that his career was nearing its end. The idea of a high-profile, cross-sport fight with McGregor was too alluring for him to turn down. It would provide one last chance for Mayweather to prove his superiority and cement his place in history, while giving McGregor the opportunity to shock the world to prove that a mixed martial artist could beat one of the best boxers in history. The anticipation reached fever pitch as the two went on a multi-city world tour, engaging in wild press conferences that saw McGregor unleashing his signature verbal attacks, often taunting Mayweather for his wealth and questioning his boxing ability. Meanwhile, Mayweather played the role of the seasoned veteran, staying calm and collected, occasionally responding with his own barbs and letting his success speak for itself. The fight was set. The fans were electrified, and the world was watching as the two prepared for their epic clash in Las Vegas. The fighters, Conor McGregor, the brash underdog. Conor McGregor was an anomaly in the world of mixed martial arts. An Irishman who came from humble beginnings, he had fought his way through the ranks of the UFC to become the first fighter in history to hold two titles simultaneously in different weight classes. McGregor was known for his confidence, often exuding a sense of invincibility that made him both loved and hated by fans. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a showman, a self-proclaimed king of combat sports. His rise to prominence was as much about his personality and trash talk as it was about his fighting ability. His knockout of Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, for instance, remains one of the most iconic moments in UFC history. However, McGregor's foray into boxing was a curious one. While he had grown up watching the sport and had some rudimentary boxing skills, he was no trained boxer. But McGregor's belief in himself and his ability to adapt to any challenge was part of his allure. He wasn't just going into this fight to collect a paycheck, he was going in to prove that he could conquer anything. He promised to shock the world and confidently claimed that he would be the one to hand Mayweather his first loss. Floyd Mayweather Jr., the boxing phenom. Floyd Mayweather Jr. was the epitome of boxing greatness. Undefeated with 49 wins, 26 by knockout, he was known for his flawless defensive skills, lightning-fast reflexes, and a remarkable ability to adapt to any opponent. Mayweather had built a reputation not only for his unparalleled skill, but also for his ability to win on his terms. His calculated defensive style frustrated opponents, but his intelligence in the ring was second to none. Mayweather had carefully constructed his legacy with major victories over the likes of Oscar de la Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, and Canelo Alvarez. He had never been defeated, and the prospect of McGregor, a non-boxer, challenging him seemed almost laughable. But Mayweather was also a businessman. This fight, with all its hype and spectacle, would be one of the most lucrative paydays in his storied career. While McGregor was the flashy, outspoken challenger, Mayweather was the cool, calculating veteran, respected by boxing aficionados around the world. But despite his undefeated record, Mayweather was in his 40s, and many wondered whether age would finally catch up with him. The fight, the showdown. As the night of the fight approached, the excitement reached a fever pitch. The T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas was packed to the brim, the crowd electric with anticipation. On one side, there was McGregor, looking sharp in his tailored suit and his trademark swagger. On the other side, Mayweather, calm and collected, dressed in a classic black suit and exuding his usual confidence. The bell rang, and the fight began. Round 1, McGregor's early success. McGregor came out swinging in the opening round as expected. His style was aggressive, and he quickly showcased his range and power, landing some solid punches early. McGregor's unorthodox approach was apparent as he used his wide stance and fast movement to throw off Mayweather's rhythm. The crowd roared with each punch McGregor landed, and for a moment it seemed as though the impossible might be happening. Mayweather, however, remained unflustered. He was a master of defense, and he allowed McGregor to tire himself out in the first few rounds, using his legendary shoulder roll and head movement to avoid the majority of McGregor's strikes. While McGregor was landing some good shots, he was expending a lot of energy. Round 2, 3, Mayweather's adaptation. As the rounds wore on, Mayweather began to adapt. His defense tightened, and he started to land his own jabs. McGregor's punches, which had been fast and powerful early on, began to lose their zip. Mayweather's timing was becoming sharper, and he started to control the pace of the fight. McGregor, on the other hand, was visibly slowing down. The relentless pace and the lack of experience in a 12-round boxing match began to take its toll. His punches were still dangerous, but they lacked the same explosiveness they had in the first few rounds. Mayweather, ever the strategist, began to pick his shots, landing clean counters and showcasing his unmatched boxing IQ. Rounds 4-9, Mayweather dominates. By the middle rounds, Mayweather was firmly in control. McGregor, though still dangerous, was being overwhelmed by Mayweather's precision. Mayweather's counters were crisp and accurate, and McGregor's defense, which had served him well in MMA, was ineffective against a seasoned boxer like Mayweather. McGregor's punches were wild and unrefined compared to Mayweather's surgical strikes. As the rounds went on, McGregor's energy continued to drain. His punches became slower and less effective, and Mayweather seemed to have figured him out. With each passing round, Mayweather's confidence grew, and his dominance in the ring became more evident. Round 10, the end. In round 10, Mayweather had seen enough. McGregor, exhausted and battered, could barely keep up with the seasoned veteran. After a series of sharp combinations and a few punishing uppercuts, Mayweather cornered McGregor against the ropes. The referee, noticing McGregor's diminished state, stepped in and stopped the fight. Result: Mayweather wins by TKO in round 10. The controversies before, during, and after the fight. Before the fight, the hype train. From the start, this fight was marred by controversy. McGregor's brashness was both a boon and a curse. His relentless trash talk, his insults toward Mayweather's wealth, his comments about Mayweather's legacy. McGregor had left no stone unturned in hyping the fight. But this behavior led to mixed opinions from fans. While some admired McGregor's confidence and bravado, others believed he was being disrespectful and that he had no place in the boxing world. For Mayweather, the fight was all about business. He was taking a massive payday, But many fans and analysts questioned whether it was really fair to pit McGregor, an MMA fighter, against a seasoned boxer like Mayweather. There were constant debates about whether McGregor's success in MMA would translate to boxing, and whether Mayweather was simply too experienced for McGregor to handle. During the fight, the one-sided affair. Once the fight began, some fans of McGregor were hopeful that he could pull off an upset. The early rounds, with McGregor's success, were enough to fuel those dreams. However, as Mayweather adapted, the fight became a showcase of his boxing brilliance, and McGregor's weaknesses became apparent. The public began to turn on McGregor as his limitations in boxing were laid bare. After the fight, the fallout, the aftermath of the fight was filled with mixed reactions. McGregor was praised for his effort, with many acknowledging that he had shown more than expected in the early rounds. But the fact remained that Mayweather had outclassed him, and the result wasn't really in doubt once the fight hit the later rounds. Mayweather, of course, took home the win and the payday. However, there were whispers in the boxing world about the ethics of the fight. Was it really a fair matchup? Mayweather was a seasoned boxer, while McGregor was a neophyte in the sport. Some argued that the fight was more spectacle than competition, and that Mayweather had essentially padded his record by fighting a man who didn't belong in the same ring. But no matter how you look at it, the fight was a phenomenon, a cultural event that crossed over into mainstream media and left its mark on the world of combat sports.